Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to the channel update for January 2017. It's a new year, it's a fresh start, and you know what, I think we've gotten started on some pretty good footing here because the channel has officially broken 19k subscribers, which is fantastic news. We're heading steadily and swiftly towards 20k, and it suddenly reminds me that I really need to get working on that Doom map that I wanted to make for you guys. I was hoping on having one ready for a particular milestone, which was originally going to be the 50k subscriber mark, but I think I was a little over-optimistic in terms of my momentum at the time, so instead, I'm going to be aiming for the 25k subscriber mark, and that way, you guys will get a hopefully nifty map sooner rather than later. In other news, the Twitch channel has broken 100 followers, which is great, so clearly a few people have noticed that it exists from the channel here and come over to see what I get up to. And I'm still getting the hang of it, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of technical hiccups every now and again, especially with getting certain games to run through the broadcasting software. Case in point, I did Doom Mod Roulette a little while back, and I really should have checked that every single mod on that roulette wheel was actually gonna work when I plugged it into GZ Doom, which wasn't exactly the case, so I ended up having to spin that wheel multiple times. It was a nice idea, but the execution was lacking somewhat. You could say I bit off a little more than I can chew, but now I've got a little bit more of a defined schedule. So usually Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are the times that you can find me streaming on Twitch between the hours of 1200 GMT and 1700 hours. And yeah, I'll hopefully be trying to add a few extra things in. Friday will typically be Doom Mod streaming day, where I play something interesting and lead up to that week's edition of Doom Mod Madness. And at the moment, I'm currently playing Dark Souls badly, very badly, on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you feel like dropping by and heckling me or lecturing me on my technique, you can sure as hell do that. It's twitch.tv/Mr_Icarus. You'll know it's me by the pixel face, basically, and yeah. Hope to see you there. Now, in other news, like many other people out there, I fell victim to Steam sale madness over the Christmas period, but fortunately, I chose to focus on smaller titles. I didn't really buy any, really, big-ticket titles that were on sale at the time. Instead, I focused on more niche entries, such as Deadbolt, which is actually pretty difficult for me to describe. It's like a mashup between Gunpoint and Hotline Miami. You basically play as the Grim Reaper tackling undead gang violence. It's pretty damn cool. You basically have to bust into a building, fulfill an objective, which most of the time is killing all of the undead that are present, putting them back to rest, and then escape. And to do this, you've got to plan your route and your attack exhaustively. Much like Hotline Miami, it'll take a lot of trial and error, but when you pull off that flawless run, getting everyone in one go and getting away without anyone even noticing that you were there, it feels bloody fantastic. But boy, is it difficult. It punishes the smallest mistakes. As I say, very, very similar to Hotline Miami on that front, but oh so satisfying when you pull off a mission flawlessly. Another title I picked up was Brigador, which I was very happy to see on sale. I've had my eye on that one for quite a while, namely because it offers a lot of big stompy mech, shooty bang bang explodey action, and boy, does it deliver on that front, albeit in a more classic isometric style. It's more along the lines of Syndicate, Crusader No Remorse, and pretty much everything in any given level here is destroyable. And you get paid for everything you destroy here. It's practically an incentive. And it's not just all about big stompy mechs, you also get access to anti-grav vehicles, tanks, armored motorbikes. There's all sorts of stuff you can pilot here, and everything handles differently. There's a lot of challenge here, a lot of getting used to slightly awkward controls, but I think that's intentional. That's part of the challenge. Nothing handles the same, everything changes as a result of what you pick. So any mission suddenly becomes very different when you pick a completely different class of vehicle to use within it. For example, I'm a fan of the treehouse vehicle, which is basically several cars stacked one on top of each other, welded together, tank tracks on the bottom, and a shitload of guns. It moves slow as crap, but it's heavily armored and has very, very destructive guns. On the other hand, you could go for something like an anti-grav lightweight vehicle, very fast, can zip around, dodge a lot of enemy fire, but it's got armor like paper. You've got to be very precise with your movements, and yeah, it's got a lot of replayability on that front, but I think that's mitigated ever so slightly by the fact that a lot of the missions can get very, very repetitive. So it's not something that you'll probably dedicate big chunks of time to. You'll probably peck at it more than anything else. But the soundtrack certainly makes that experience a hell of a lot more enjoyable. The soundtrack by Makeup and Vanity Set is phenomenal. If you're a fan of electronic music, check them out. It's almost worth checking out Brigador just for the soundtrack alone. It's pretty damn great. Also picked up Titan Souls, which I believe in its original form was a Game Jam winner, and it's centered around a pretty interesting core gameplay concept. You only get one arrow that you can fire at any given time. Once you've fired it, you've got to actually draw it back to yourself before you can fire it again. Your character only takes one hit to kill, and the bosses only take one direct hit to kill as well, and this game is structured entirely around that concept. All of the bosses, one-hit kills, but they've all got quite an impressive amount of variation in terms of look, in terms of movement, in terms of those little moments of opportunity you need to look out for in order to just drive that arrow home. And outside of boss battles, it takes a lot of inspiration from Shadow of the Colossus. There's a lot of traveling through interesting looking environments with cryptic glyphs on the wall that maybe tell you a little about the backstory of the place. And in all honesty, it does get a little bit boring after a while. It does get a little dull. I mean, there's only so many bosses you can trudge over to and throw yourself at over and over and over before fatigue starts to set in. So much like Brigador, it's something you'll probably tackle one chunk at a time rather than in one great big sitting, because if you try that, you'll probably just start tearing your hair out in sheer frustration. Also got Butcher, which is a tremendous amount of fun. It's also tremendously difficult. It's basically an ultra-violent humanity genocide simulator. You're basically an evil drone sent to Earth to eradicate the last vestiges of humanity, and it takes place in the form of a 2D side-scrolling uber-violent shooter. It's pretty great. It's pretty grim, grimy, and there's guts and blood everywhere, and death traps just killing you every other second. It's intense. I think if I was going to use a word to describe Butcher, it would definitely be intense. It's something that it's quite satisfying to conquer. You'll throw yourself at it over and over and over, thinking just one more try. Maybe this is the one that gets me through to the end. And I had a really, really fun time playing this on live stream over on Twitch. So if you want to check out what it's like, it should be up there on past broadcasts as well. But yeah, a lot of fun. Seems to be designed around the idea of speedrunning as well, so you never know. You might see some interesting speed runs of that in the future too. But man, I am absolutely swimming in games, because I also indulged in the Humble Bundle, the last Humble Bundle, where I got Valhalla, Pony Island, Refunct Day, The Tentacle, N++, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, and Bit Blaster XL, as well as another copy of Deadbolt. So what I'll be doing is a little bit of a Twitter giveaway, which should be in the next 24 hours after this video goes live. So if you want an opportunity to play Deadbolt for yourself, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Look out for the post where I'm going to be posing a question for you to answer. And first person to answer that question correctly gets the key. No muss, no fuss. The only condition here, you've got to be following me so I can actually send you the key in a direct message afterwards. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. In terms of stuff that I'm looking forward to by the end of this month, going on into February, I'm definitely looking forward to Resident Evil 7. It looks like it's shaken up the formula somewhat. A big change from the likes of Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Jeez, when I say it out loud, it just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? We've gotten to Resident Evil 7. But yeah, the first-person style of it definitely brings something a little new to it. A lot of people are saying it's just aping Outlast, but the demo I played is a little different from Outlast. And I'm intrigued. I'm not sold, I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to be looking for the reviews when it comes down to release day. It's definitely not a day one purchase. I'm always erring on the side of caution these days when it comes to Resi, but hopefully they knock it out the park. Hopefully it's a little bit of a renaissance for Resident Evil. I'd very much like to see this be a new high for the series. Anyway, this seems as good a time as any to wrap up this edition of the channel update, but first I need to give a big, badass shout out to my Nutter tier patrons. Thank you very much to Ben Rosenberg, Incursion Gerbil, Michael Ewer, JMAA, and Fenrir Wolf. Also, thanking my Loon tier patrons. There you are on screen there as well. Thank you very much for your contributions. Always appreciated. Hope you're enjoying the early access videos. And if you feel like becoming a patron, the link will be in the description below and at the end of this video. Feel free to check it out. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.